Alien girl sipped human battle formula. Her reaction was instant and uncontrollable. Gyra moved silently through the dim hallway of the human base. Her soft purple skin shimmered under the faint blue lights. She wasn't supposed to be here. No alien was. The human sector was off limits to her kind. But curiosity had its own voice, and it whispered louder than the rules. She had heard the rumors that humans drank something before battle, a red liquid in small metal flasks that made them faster, stronger, and almost unstoppable. Some said it was poison, others called it magic. Gyra didn't believe in magic. She believed in science and in testing things for herself. She passed rows of sealed lockers until she found the one marked with strange human symbols. A red triangle with a lightning bolt. A warning, but warnings were made for people who felt fear. Gyra only felt heat in her veins and questions in her mind. She touched the lock panel, and her alien bracelet lit up. She hacked it with ease. A small hiss escaped the door as it opened. Inside was a single flask, silver, cold, and glowing faintly from the top. Gyra picked it up, her hand trembling. Human battle formula. She read out loud in broken English. Her other hand lifted the cap slowly. A strange smell hit her nose, metallic, sweet, like something alive and burning at the same time. She took a deep breath. Just a sip, she thought, just to understand. She brought it to her lips and tilted it back. The liquid was thick and warm. It slid down her throat and settled in her chest like fire. For a second, nothing happened. Then her heart kicked hard against her ribs. She dropped the flask, clutching her stomach as her knees hit the floor. Lights flickered above her. Her skin started to glow, first faintly, then brighter with pulsing patterns. Her eyes widened as her muscles tensed without command. She gasped, but the sound came out as a growl. Gyra tried to stand, but her legs moved too fast. She crashed into the metal wall, leaving a dent. Her breathing was fast and hot. The fire inside her had grown wings. She felt strong, too fast, too much. Alarms blared across the base. Red lights flashed, and soldiers ran down the hallway with weapons raised. Gyra looked at her hands. Her fingers sparked with strange energy. She screamed, but her voice shattered the air like glass. "Stop her!" one of the human guards yelled, but no one dared get close. Gyra took one step in. The metal floor beneath her foot cracked. She didn't know what was happening to her. Her body felt like it was flying and burning at the same time. One of the humans fired a stun shot. The bolt hit her shoulder, but vanished in her glow. She turned to them, eyes glowing white. She didn't want to fight them, but she couldn't stop herself. Her body moved again, faster than thought. She leaped high and crashed through the ceiling with one punch. Dust and metal fell everywhere as she vanished into the upper levels of the base. The humans stared in shock. "She drank it," one of them whispered. She drank the formula. In the command center, alarms flashed across every screen. A voice echoed through the intercom. "Unknown threat, moving through the base. Breach." In Sector 9, one general turned toward a scientist in a white coat. "Liam, it's your formula," he said. She took it. Liam froze. He rubbed his eyes and whispered, No, it's not meant for aliens. It wasn't tested on their DNA." The general slammed a fist on the table. "Then fix it, or she'll destroy everything." But Gyra was already far from the labs. She broke through another wall and sprinted into the cold desert night. Her body left glowing footprints in the sand. Her eyes scanned the sky, blinking with colors only her kind could see. The stars looked different now, brighter, faster, louder, and deep inside, something was changing. Not just her strength, not just her speed. Something in her blood was waking up. Something human, but twisted through her alien heart as she vanished into the dunes. A strange smile touched her lips. She had tasted human power, and now the universe would taste her. Gyra ran without thinking, her feet striking the sand. Like thunder, the desert wind howled around her. But she didn't feel the cold anymore. Every step launched her forward faster than she ever imagined possible. Her glowing veins lit the path behind her like a comet trail. She didn't know where she was going, only that she had to get away. Her heart beat like a war drum, loud in her ears. She stumbled once, fell, rolled, and stood again without pain. Her strength was terrifying now, like it didn't belong to her. She clenched her fists and saw sparks of energy shoot from her fingertips. The power was growing, not fading, and that scared her more than anything. Back at the base, chaos filled the halls. The humans scrambled to understand what happened. Soldiers checked cameras, engineers repaired walls, and medics treated stunned guards. The security footage showed only a blur of violet glow crashing through metal and light. No one had ever seen an alien move like that, not even the warrior. "Class," Liam stared at the screen, jaw tight. He whispered, "She didn't just survive the formula. She absorbed it." He stormed into the control room, pushing past soldiers. "I need clearance to go after her," he said firmly. "She's not just dangerous, she's unstable, and she's scared." The general narrowed his eyes. "You're the one who made this formula." Liam didn't flinch. "And I'm the only one who can help her before someone dies." The general hesitated, then handed him a pack. "Bring her back alive, if you can." Shira crouched beneath a crumbled old satellite dish deep in the sand dunes. She was shaking, her breath like steam in the cold night. She looked at her reflection in a broken metal shard. Her skin was glowing in strange, pulsing waves. Her eyes were no longer violet, they were white fire. She touched her chest, where the heat was strongest. It burned, but it felt right, like something inside her had been waiting to awaken. Suddenly, her ears twitched. Voices. 2 figures approached through the sand. Not human, not friendly, bounty hunters. One held a scanner, blinking bright green. "She's close," the taller one said. "Look for the glowing footprints." The other growled. "How much they paying for her?" "Enough to buy a moon." Shira stayed silent, frozen. She didn't want to hurt anyone, but her hands were twitching again, her skin glowing brighter with fear. She whispered to herself, "Stop. Stop it. Calm down." But the formula inside her didn't care about calm. It only knew movement, energy, war. One of the bounty hunters raised a weapon and aimed at the satellite wreckage. He fired a pulse shot. The beam struck inches from her head, sending dust flying. Her instincts exploded. She leaped out from behind the metal, faster than the eye could follow. In one motion, she kicked the hunter across the sand like a toy. The other screamed and raised his weapon. Too late, she was already on him, grabbing his arm and snapping it with a single twist. The world slowed down again as her body trembled. She stood over the 2 groaning figures, her breathing uneven. What had she become? Why couldn't she stop? Why did part of her enjoy the power? She turned and ran again, heading toward the nearby jungle ridge. The jungle wasn't safe, not at night, but maybe there she could hide, maybe cool her blood. The heat in her chest was rising again. Liam flew low over the sand in a hoverbike, following the tracker he planted near the lab flask. It blinked faster, picking up her trail. He could see the strange footprints glowing below. He whispered, "Shira, please hold on." And somewhere far ahead, the alien girl clenched her fists, eyes burning like stars. She didn't know who was coming for her, but part of her hoped it was someone who wouldn't try to cage her, someone who would see more than a weapon. The jungle trees swayed as she crossed the border. She disappeared into the thick, glowing wild. Her journey had only just begun. Liam sat alone in his workshop, staring at the empty flask on the screen. He didn't need the security footage to tell him what had happened. The formula was gone, and someone drank it, and there was only one non-human presence registered in that sector. Tonight, Shira. He rubbed his tired eyes and whispered, "No." She wasn't ready. The formula wasn't made for aliens. It was designed to connect with human adrenaline and nervous systems. It used nanotech coded only to human DNA, or so he thought. His CUM device beeped rapidly. An urgent message blinked. Across the screen, unauthorized subject, exposed to Formula X, containment breach, in progress. Another message followed. Bounty conflict reported near jungle edge. Liam froze, then stood up, heart pounding. She's not just surviving. She's adapting, he said to himself, almost in disbelief. He opened his private locker and pulled out a small case. Inside was a black injector with blue serum. The stabilizer, a last resort he never tested, meant to calm the formula once. It bonded too deep, meant for emergencies like this. As he strapped it to his belt, a guard knocked on his door. "You're ordered to stay in the base." "Dr. Liam," the man said, voice stiff. "She's classified as a live threat now." Liam stared at him for a moment, then answered, "If she dies, this base might not survive her death." He pushed past the guard, activated his old scout bike, and shot out into the desert night. He didn't wait for clearance. He didn't care. The desert winds roared around him, stinging his face, but the tracker signal pulsed brighter on his wrist screen. He followed the path of heat traces and burned footprints. Her body was releasing energy now, glowing so hot it left signs even the sand couldn't hide. He whispered into the wind, "Hang on, Jira. I'm coming." Meanwhile, deep in the alien jungle, Jira crawled through thick vines and glowing plants. Her skin pulsed with bright blue and white waves. Her breathing was uneven, each breath hotter than the last. Every time she tried to rest, her body would twitch and jolt like it needed to move. Bird-like creatures screeched above, sensing her presence. The jungle around her grew brighter as she passed, her energy awakening the wildlife. She reached a stream and dipped her hands into the cool water. But the water hissed and turned to steam on contact. Tears formed in her glowing eyes. "I didn't ask for this," she whispered, her voice shaking. "I just wanted to know what made humans so strong." She looked at her reflection, now almost unrecognizable. Her features were sharper, her muscles more defined, her body glowing like a living weapon. But behind the power, she was still the same girl. Alone, scared, and now hunted. She suddenly felt something movement behind her. Her head snapped around, but it wasn't another bounty hunter. It was a small animal, a jungle crawler. It stepped toward her, sniffed, then hissed and fled. Even nature was afraid of her now. Her hands trembled. She tried to calm herself, to breathe, but the formula was alive inside her now, whispering, "Fight, run, break, survive." It pushed her harder, every second. Then she heard something different. Not a creature, not a bounty hunter, but a soft engine sound, smooth, steady, human-made. She turned and saw a faint light through the trees, a hover bike, coming fast. She didn't know who it was, friend or enemy, but she stood up anyway, ready, and as Liam neared the jungle's edge, the scanner locked onto her signal. He tightened his grip on the stabilizer and whispered, "Please don't make me fight you." The night air between them charged with tension. One chasing redemption, the other trying to escape herself. And neither of them knew what would happen when they finally met, only that it would change them, both forever. The jungle was awake with colors that didn't exist anywhere else in the galaxy. Tall trees twisted into the clouds, their leaves glowing with soft blue light. Strange creatures chirped, hissed, or clicked from the canopy above. Some had never seen a human. None had ever seen anything like Shira. She ran without looking back, her feet no longer touching the ground for long. Every leap launched her further than before. Branches cracked under her weight, but her balance was perfect. Her body moved like it had been trained for years, but she had never trained for war. This wasn't training. This was instinct mixed with something unnatural. something made by humans. Her glow had softened now, no longer wild and flashing, but it was still there. Under her skin like silent lightning, the formula had fused with her completely. It didn't control her, it didn't obey her either. She stopped by a wide tree root and crouched. Sweat rolled down her neck, steaming in the jungle air. She pressed a hand to her chest and closed her eyes, trying to push down the energy, to breathe slowly, to stay human, no, to stay herself. Behind her, faint vibrations shook the leaves. She opened her eyes. Someone was near. Liam's hoverbike cut through the last row of thorny vines. He slowed to a stop, dust rising around him. His boots hit the ground with a soft crunch. He looked at the scanner on his wrist. Her signal was here, but it wasn't stable. It blinked like a heartbeat struggling to stay alive. He walked carefully, holding nothing but a small glowing stick in his hand. Not a weapon, just a signal rod to show he came in peace. He didn't call out. He knew sudden sounds could trigger panic. He remembered how fast she moved, how easily she broke through walls. Like paper, Jera watched him from above, hidden in thick vines. Her glowing eyes narrowed. Why did he come here? Why risk his life? Was he here to fix her or finish her? But there was no fear in Liam's movements, only focus and something else, regret. He stepped into a clearing and stopped. I know you're here, he said softly. His voice was calm, even as something growled nearby in the jungle. I didn't come to hurt you, Jera. A sudden blur dropped in front of him. She landed without a sound, crouched like a predator. Her eyes blazed white for a moment, before dimming again. He didn't move. She stared at him like she didn't recognize him anymore. Maybe she didn't. I told you not to drink it, Liam said, his voice low. Shira's voice cracked, deeper now. I didn't ask for your formula. I didn't ask for this. Her hands clenched as her body shimmered with rising heat. Leaves nearby started to curl and burn. I know, he replied gently, taking one step forward. I didn't make it for war. I made it because humans were dying, and we needed something. Something more. Jera shook her head. Well now, you've made something you can't control. She lifted her hand, and the air between them sparked. Liam didn't flinch. I didn't come here to control you, he said, reaching slowly into his coat. I came to give you this. He held out the black injector. The blue liquid inside, glowing softly. Jira's eyes flicked to it, then to his face. What is it? A stabilizer, he said. It won't take your strength, just the fire inside it, so you can breathe again. She stared at it, unsure. The formula inside her pulsed again, as if angry, as if it wanted to fight, to test him, to see how much the human could take. Then the jungle growled again. Not her, not Liam, but something bigger. Liam spun around as trees began to shake in the distance. Jira turned toward the sound. Eyes wide. They found me, she whispered. Liam's voice turned sharp. Who? Hunters, she said, stepping back. Not bounty ones. Worse, in the shadows, something massive moved. Heavy footsteps, echoing clicks. Mechanical limbs. They had come to collect her, to turn her into a weapon, no longer a girl. Just a tool with glowing skin and no choice. Jira looked at Liam, breathing hard. Give me the stabilizer, she said. He handed it to her, without a word. She jammed it into her arm, pressed the trigger. The serum flowed in, cold and sharp. For a moment, everything stopped. No pain, no noise, no light. Then, her heartbeat slowed, her vision cleared, and for the first time, the fire inside her obeyed. She looked up, eyes steady. If I fight now, she said, it'll be me fighting, not the formula. Liam gave a faint nod. Then let's show them what you are. They turned together toward the approaching threat, and the jungle held its breath, waiting for what would come next. The trees trembled as the first shadow stepped into view. It wasn't a creature of nature. It was cold metal and alien bone. Its body was tall, armored in dark gray plates, with red lights blinking across its chest. A long rifle was mounted on its back, but it didn't reach for it yet. It just stood there, watching, and behind it, more shapes emerged, 5 in total, each more dangerous than the last. Shira stepped forward slowly, her skin still glowing, but softer now. The stabilizer had worked. She could feel the formula's fire inside her, but it no longer screamed. Now it listened. Now it waited for her command. Liam stood a few steps behind, eyes on the hunters. He whispered, "They're extraction units." Hagrade Jira's eyes narrowed. "From the Dominion." Liam nodded. "Sent to retrieve a rogue asset?" Jira let out a bitter laugh. "I'm not an asset," but deep down, she knew why they came. Her kind was rare, her DNA even rarer, and now, mixed with human tech, she was something no one had ever seen. One of the hunters stepped forward, his voice crackling through a translator. "Jira, of the Kalara, stand down. Return with us. You are valuable. You will not be harmed." Liam muttered, "That's a lie." Jira didn't answer. She kept her eyes locked on the lead hunter. Her hands twitched, not with fear, but with purpose. The hunter raised his hand slowly, scanning her with a red beam. Human interference detected. It said, tone flat, "Step away. Male." Liam didn't move. Jira stepped between them. "No," she said clearly, "you'll have to go through me." The hunters paused for only a second before the lead one barked a command. "All units, engage." They raised their weapons, and the jungle exploded into motion. Jira moved like lightning. Before the first shot fired, she was already airborne, her foot smashing down on one of the metal heads. The shock wave from her kick cracked the earth. She landed and spun, throwing a pulse of raw energy that knocked 2 hunters off their feet. The formula inside her was no longer wild. It was focused, clean, powerful, and she was in full control. Liam ducked behind a tree, dodging a plasma shot that sliced through the trunk like butter. He pulled a small EMP grenade from his pack and rolled it across the ground. It exploded in a quiet flash, sending 2 hunters into a system reboot. Sigra charged forward, her fist glowing with white-hot light. She punched through one of the hunter's chests, pulling out its core in a single motion. Sparks and smoke filled the air. The lead hunter staggered, then charged her with a blade arm extended. Shira grabbed the blade mid-swing and twisted it clean off. She kneed the machine in the chest, then threw it across the clearing. Liam ran to her side, breathing hard. "Are you all right?" he asked. She nodded, her skin still glowing, but her eyes calm. "They're not getting me back," she said. "Not ever." A final blast shot from the tree's hidden sniper. Jira turned too slow, but Liam dove in front of her. The blast hit his side and threw him to the ground. He groaned in pain, his shirt smoking. Gira's breath caught. For a moment, everything around her stopped. The formula surged again, but this time from emotion, not panic. Her scream echoed through the jungle like a storm. She raced into the trees, found the sniper, and smashed him into the dirt until nothing was left but broken metal and sparks. She returned to Liam, dropped to her knees. He was bleeding, but alive. "Why would you do that?" she asked, voice shaking. He gave her a weak smile. "You're worth saving." She looked at her hands, glowing with power and blood, then looked at him. She had been hunted, feared, almost weaponized. But in this moment, she wasn't alone. Someone believed in her, and now she had a reason to believe in herself. As Liam passed out from the pain, Kyra lifted him gently in her arms. She looked at the burning jungle, at the broken hunters, then turned her gaze to the stars. Her war wasn't over, but now, it was hers to fight. Shira moved fast through the jungle, her arms wrapped around Liam's body. He was heavy, but her strength didn't falter. Not anymore. Branches tore at her face and vines whipped past her legs, but her focus was clear. Find shelter, stop the bleeding, and keep him alive. She didn't know much about human medicine, but she knew that wound on his side wasn't just a burn. It had gone deep. Every few seconds, Liam stirred and mumbled her name. That was enough to keep her going. She found a moss-covered cave hidden behind a wall of thick roots. The air inside was damp and warm, but safe. She laid him gently on the floor and pulled off his jacket. His skin was raw where the plasma blast had hit, darkened and cracked. Gyra's glowing hands hovered over the wound. Trembling, she wanted to help, but didn't know how. And worse, she was afraid her touch might hurt him even more. He opened his eyes just slightly and whispered, "You saved me." Gyra leaned close, her voice soft. "You saved me first." She looked around and spotted a pool of water collecting in the stone wall. Clean, glowing faintly. She dipped a cloth into it, then gently pressed it against his wound. He hissed in pain, but nodded. "You're doing fine," he said weakly. Hours passed as the jungle outside grew quiet again. Gyra sat beside him, not sleeping, just watching, listening to the rhythm of his breath each time he exhaled. It felt like a small victory, and for the first time, her mind was silent. No surges of power, no pressure from the formula, only her own thoughts, her own will. But peace doesn't last long in a world that fears strength. The jungle trees groaned, the air turned thick, and in the distance, the sound of machines returned. Not scouts this time, a full strike team. They had tracked the last signal from the broken hunter bots. Now they were coming to finish the mission. Gyra stood slowly, her glow rising again, but this time it felt different. It was no longer a storm without direction. It was fire in her veins with a purpose. She walked to the cave's entrance and stepped into the clearing. The sky above was dark with approaching craft. Drones hovered low, their scanners sweeping the forest floor. Gyra didn't run. She didn't hide. A voice echoed from above, mechanical and cold. "Gyra, of the Calarier fusion state violates interspecies biotreaty. Surrender now for disassembly and study." She looked up at the floating drone and smiled. Her voice was steady and sharp. "Come take me." In a flash, the drone opened fire, plasma bolts lighting the jungle. Gyra moved like light, dodging every blast with perfect timing. Her feet barely touched the ground as she jumped into the air. She grabbed the drone by its wing and spun, launching it into a tree with explosive force. One by one, the soldiers dropped into the clearing, not machines this time, but armored living troops, elites. They raised their rifles, moving in perfect formation. Gyra inhaled deeply. Her hands sparked. Her body pulsed, but she didn't rush in. She waited. They opened fire. She ran straight through it, not stopping, not flinching. She used the trees, the rocks, the very ground to outmaneuver them. Her punches shattered bone and armor. Her kicks sent bodies flying. Each movement was clean, fast, and precise. No waste, no panic, just perfect control. When the last soldier hit the dirt, the jungle fell silent. The sun began to rise over the alien jungle. Its light touched the broken metal shells of defeated soldiers. Smoke floated lazily through the trees, and the air was heavy with silence. Gyra stood in that silence, her hands still glowing softly, her breath steady. She didn't look like a prisoner anymore, or a science experiment. She looked like a warrior. Liam stirred inside the cave, slowly sitting up. He was weak, but alive. Gyra helped him lean against the wall. He looked into her eyes and saw something different now. Not fear, not confusion, but focus, strength, peace. "You look calm," he said with a crooked smile. "I feel calm," she answered. For the first time since I drank that formula, the stabilizer had done more than settle the energy. It had helped her find balance between her alien nature and the human power that now lived inside her. She was no longer out of control. She was something new, something no one had planned for. Liam reached into his bag and pulled out a small device. "This is a call beacon," he said. "I can use it to send a signal to Earth. They'll come. For us, Gyra hesitated. If they come, will they treat me like the Dominion did? Liam looked at her and shook his head. Not if I speak for you. Shira turned to look at the jungle again. She could hear ships in the far sky. Searching, scanning, more enemies would come. But now she didn't have to run. She had already made her choice. She knelt beside Liam and spoke quietly. Back in the lab, when you made that formula, did you ever think something like me could survive it? Liam smiled faintly. No, he said, but I hoped. She looked down at her glowing hands and clenched them slowly. I didn't just survive it, she said. I mastered it. Footsteps crunched in the distance. New signals blinked on Liam's scanner, different from the Dominion. Not enemies, but a neutral patrol ship, maybe from a Peace Corps or Alliance. Border team. They were closing in. Jira helped Liam stand, his arm over her shoulder. He limped beside her as they stepped out of the cave. They walked slowly toward the clearing where the last battle had ended. The morning light hit her skin, making her glow golden under the rising sun. As the first small ship descended, soldiers and medics poured out cautiously. But they stopped in their tracks when they saw her, an alien girl glowing with barely contained energy. And beside her, a human bleeding but standing. No one said a word at first. Then Jira raised her hand, not in threat, but in peace. I'm not your enemy, she said loud and clear. I'm not your test subject. I'm not your weapon. I'm Jira, and this human saved me. The commander stepped forward. Unsure, Liam looked up, his voice hoarse but firm. She's proof that we can evolve together, he said, not through force, but choice. The soldiers slowly lowered their weapons. A medic rushed to help Liam, and the commander gave Gira a slow nod. She didn't smile, but she felt something warm in her chest, not fire this time. Something like hope, as the ship prepared to carry them away. Shira stood at the edge of the ramp and looked back one last time. The jungle that once hunted her, the night that almost consumed her, the broken machines that called her a thing. She was leaving it all behind, not as a runaway, but as someone reborn. She whispered to herself. I drank their strength, but I kept my soul. And as the ship rose into the sky, she didn't look down again, because for the first time, Shira wasn't running anymore. She was rising.